Welcome everyone to today's panel during World Kindness Day. We're here today to discuss solving the digital divide with social media, crowdfunding, and crowdsourcing panel with our three esteemed guests, Moses Kusasira, Mark Harding, and Anu Shukla. Each of them are very reputed, very esteemed figures within the technology industry and have their own thoughts to share on how we can help improve the ecosystem for nonprofits, for businesses, and for the overall community using technology. So without further ado, I'd love for everyone to introduce themselves. Moses?
Hi, yeah, thanks, Taj. My name is Moses Kusasira. I'm the CEO of Social Media Gateways Inc. And at Social Media Gateways, we're bridging the gap of the developed world with the developing world. And we're doing this through financial fintech software and also through digital transformation software. We've been around since 2012, and we built different software in the digital transformation, mainly in loyalty for the hospitality space. And now we're working within the fintech space to basically bridge the gap between the developed world, that is Europe and Americas, with the developing world, mainly in Africa as well.
Hi, yep, I'm Mark Harding. I'm the CTO at Minds.com. We're a fully open source social network, and we reward people with an ERC20 token for contributing to the network. And those tokens can be used to upgrade your channel, boost your content so you can get more views as a free advertising model. And you can also support other creators. The main principles we have is that all our code and algorithms are free and open source and can be inspected by anyone to give us transparency and accountability. And our content policy is based on the US First Amendment. And we have a community jury which can hold us to account and minimize the bias or censorship on the site. And we believe that we can change people's minds if you provide them with a platform to speak.
Awesome. Anu?
Sure. So I'm Anu Shukla, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm currently involved in two different companies. One is called Rewards Pay, and we are basically using alternative currency, loyalty currency for payments for online and other shopping. Work with large loyalty programs of airlines and hotels. And it's been around for about 9 years, the company. And the second company that I'm the executive chairman of is a company called Botco.ai that's creating a artificial intelligence NLP-based platform for automating marketing chat amongst enterprises and their customers.
Awesome, thank you. And I think all of the panelists over here, we've all had our own various experiences during 2020 with it being as crazy as a year as it was with coronavirus and the pandemic. And as a result, the digital divide itself widening. I'd like to start with, Anu and your work with, airlines in the Bay Area. How have you seen within your own local communities, how have you seen coronavirus kind of change the way people operate and widen the digital divide?
In March, when the coronavirus kind of hit a lockdown over here in the Bay Area, all of us retreated to our homes. And my children, were at home as well. And we quickly had to adjust to a life where, you needed, I got familiar with Zoom quite a bit. So couldn't go to the office, had to scramble. Our customers basically called us and said, pause. We're probably going to go through layoffs and many, many changes. So, pause all the activities, transactional activities on our behalf. And, we quickly had to learn Zoom and try to keep up, with the school curriculum, work, collaboration. We're building a company. And so we went virtual first, basically to hire people without meeting them all over the world, and then get them to collaborate. And so those are some of the things that I noticed. It's been, people are, it gets old after a while. People get tired. Not everybody has access to good, communication and internet, and people are losing their jobs, and they got through some government funding for some while, but in other countries it was, I think, much worse. So we definitely felt this widening of the digital divide about access, about prosperity, and about collaboration tools that people could actually use. So it's not been good in one sense, and in the second sense, in the second sense, it's actually brought made virtual first or digital first like a reality for everybody. So whereas we felt this remote thing would never work, we have to make it work. And so we all got into the virtual world, and especially the children, they got into it, and they got used to getting up in the morning and going in front of their computer versus getting ready and going to school, and and working that way. So that's kind of the adjustment that people had to make. In the one sense, you had to adopt the virtual world. In the other words, I found not everybody had access and could do it, and people have mental challenges and behavioral challenges to deal with it. So that's just
Yeah,
an overall high level view of what I saw and
of
experienced.
course. I definitely agree that there is, especially amongst us in the technology industry, there tends to be somewhat of an echo chamber, if you will, in terms of we all have easy access to the internet and technology tools. So we're familiar with this to a certain extent. But I can only imagine for some of the families out there who haven't been used to this and who are more used to the traditional system and who may not have access to internet, as you said, things could be a lot more difficult to them. I'm curious, Mark, in the UK, for instance, right? How are people adopting? How are things changing over there? And how is the Minds? I mean, because you're also somewhat of a remote company as well. How has that been adjusting to the pandemic?
Well, it's funny you said that. I mean, today's the first day of lockdown 2, where we are. So we're right back in it, just as things were starting to normalize. So everything's going back to how it was in March, almost, with slightly less strict this time. But Minds has always been a remote company. So really, in terms of how we operate, it's work as normal. Just more people at home is the main difference. But we've always been proponents of remote working. I mean, it doesn't work for everyone, but we find in the tech sphere that you're open to much more talent, and people have to either be in the Bay Area or New York. You can be anywhere in the world, time zone permitting. So there's not been a huge difference as far as that's concerned.
Mhm. And Moses, in your work with the developing world, have you seen your operations somewhat change as a result of this pandemic, or how have things worked for that side of the business?
Oh yeah, absolutely. A lot has changed. In the developing world, it's a little bit harder, because unlike the developed world where you have bailouts, you have different ways of making money online through freelancing and things like that. In the developed world, these people actually have to go to work, right? So it makes it very difficult. It's very hard to just lock down a society that is not, built to be locked down. But again, this is a virus. It has to be done, right? So we've seen a lot of people transform, even in the developing world. People transform into digital remote education, digital remote, jobs. We've seen an acceleration like never before, mainly in East Africa, when it comes to mobile payments. Mobile payments have become the center of the whole African economy because now people don't want to exchange money. That's a problem. And using mobile payment has changed how people do business. And also, again, it comes down to how it's set up in that specific country. But from our business standpoint, it did affect the logistic aspects of the business itself, just because things were shut down, and in some places things are still shut down. It's going to take a while before it comes back. So going remote is important. It's a must. And digital transformation for, from the smallest vendor, selling mangoes on the street to the largest bank is a must in this era.
So Moses, you were just talking about how, small vendors had to change, similar to banks. Has there been any sort of new ways in which these small vendors have tried to raise money? What is the importance? This panel is about crowdfunding and crowdsourcing. How have they had to change their own business operations from what you've seen in working with them? I know you've also worked with them on the social media side. How's all of that changed for them?
So yeah, mainly in Africa, when it comes to crowdsourcing or crowdfunding or nonprofit, things have definitely changed, and it comes down to having the ability to raise funds from anybody, anywhere, anytime. But a little bit even step farther, and this is one of the things that we're involved in. We're involved with different charities as well, but we're involved with bringing that crowdfunding in a different format. For example, there's a kid in Africa that needs help with school supplies, school fees, and things like that. This kid is able to basically, in one of the platforms that we are partnered with, is able to put up that they need this type of help. And through our system, we're able to basically not only let the people help this child, and let's say, for example, it'll take $200, to do everything. $100 going to the school fees, and 50 to let's say books and things like that. One thing that we've been able to do is create an environment where different people can collaborate and put the money in, number one, right? And then created a split payment solution that we can split the money into the vendors themselves, the school, the book supply, the uniform supply, and those items getting delivered to that school, that kid at their home without them ever leaving. So in other words, it's more like a remittance to service type of an environment. And that has helped a lot when it comes to helping, obviously, the vendors, number one, fundraising from different people, and number three, being able to deliver, the service and the item to those people, and not necessarily money in this format. And this has been a big thing in Africa, because again, in this this current time, you need help from everybody around the world. It's not just one specific person, and then also, when you put up that kind of help, it's great if you can help the environment around. So the vendors, basically the small to medium-sized businesses, that gives them business, right? So in other words, we're bringing business from overseas and not really around us. So, that's a different way of fundraising, but it's been accelerated by this whole remote, doing everything remote.
It definitely seems like, from what you're saying, that in this weird way, even though we're all being separated, we're being asked to essentially be closer to one another, by, from a global perspective, being able to identify with the problems of someone that is halfway around the globe, and to see how we can, help, either help fund them or also be able to buy some of their products. I think we've definitely gotten more global with the internet, and because we're now in front of the internet a lot more, you're going to see, yourself coming face to face with some of the problems of people who have had very different lives than you. I think on that note, Anu, you've been involved in less on the internet side, but also on the local community side with some of your work on the ICC. I'd love to hear how crowdfunding and crowdsourcing has become a lot more important in some of the operations that have been going on over there.
Yes, thank you so much. We depend a lot on events, banquets, our gym memberships for our revenue, and we use that to fund senior programs and meals to seniors. And the interesting thing about the pandemic was never has the need been so great. Our seniors are locked up, they're high risk, and they need all the services we provide. However, our revenue cut off. So we had to go 100% virtual, and thank God for crowdfunding and crowdsourcing. We had to reach out to make up for the revenue shortfall. And so we had to reach out, all our banquets or our events went virtual. So we're having a virtual annual fundraising gala. And for the first time, we have no space limitation, because in a banquet hall, we can fit, 800 people or something. But here we can go thousands of people. And all our performers are performing online. We're giving a award to Dr. Sanjay Gupta for all his work around the coronavirus reporting. And he's online, he's thrilled. And it's a completely new world. And we reached out to donors and supporters all over the world, and told them about ICC and what we're doing. Because remember, we have a table tennis center and we have coaches we've been from all over the world, and we can't lay them off. This was a very crowdfunding virtually was one of the most important activities, I think, that saved us.
Definitely. And Mark, I know that from a Minds perspective, you did an ICO with Minds a couple of years ago. And I mean, I imagine now there's a lot of interesting things going on within using crypto to raise money for projects and using even staking ERC20 tokens. Do you mind just sharing for the audience, first off, well, what is an ERC20 token? And also, from a blockchain technology perspective, how have things changed on the raising money side for people's ideas?
Sure. Yeah. In addition to doing the token sale that we did a couple of years ago, we have also done a Reg CF crowdfunding in I think 2015, I think it was. We raised $1.5 million from 1,500 community investors. So our site is kind of owned by our members as well. In terms of how the crypto space is going, it's definitely been moving a lot in the last 12 months, and I think especially so during the coronavirus lockdown. Whereas traditionally with an ERC20 token, I mean, maybe I can just explain what an ERC20 token is, because it might be jargon to some people. An ERC20 token is a standard specification that allows anyone to create basically their own currency that they can mint as much or as little of as they want, and they can determine how it's going to be governed. So we have, I think we have 1 billion tokens, Minds tokens, and people can send those to each other, and they can also exchange them. And there's new tools coming out, such as Uniswap, which is what they call DeFi. It's a decentralized exchange that has two parts. One part is people providing liquidity, so providing either the tokens or the other asset, which could be Ethereum or another cryptocurrency. So they provide equal parts of that asset. And then the other part is the people who are doing the traditional buy and sell, which they purchase from the liquidity pool. And basically what this allows you to purchase tokens from not an individual, necessarily someone saying, oh, I'll give you these tokens with this amount, but a shared decentralized pool that no one owns. They're able to buy the tokens through there without another party having to be involved. And the market price is determined by the demand of the market. So the price will go up if more is being purchased, for example.
Yeah, I think it's definitely interesting how the technology landscape itself has evolved for that. I know in both of the examples that you and Anu gave, there was this aspect of different kinds of people coming in and giving money to these projects that you felt very passionate about. And I think from an ICO perspective, there's the ownership side of thing, and then from the ICC virtual banquet perspective, there was a way in which you reached out to some of your major donors. Can you both talk about how, as organizations that have done crowdfunding and crowdsourcing, because I think the TALGiving platform itself, we want to facilitate crowdfunding for our nonprofit organizations, making it easier for them to be able to raise money for causes that they care about. And I think one of the things that they would love to do at times is, if there's someone who has helped them out for their cause, to be able to reach out to say thank you, or to be able to help them feel like, okay, this is a cause that I'm a part of. I have some skin in this game. I'd love to hear your thoughts there in terms of how you've facilitated this, and some neat tips and tricks for them, if you will.
So we at ICC, for using the ICC example, we had a mailing list, and I must say that our staff did a tremendous job, because going all virtual and not having people coming in and being able to invite people to banquets and so on and so forth, we really had to become creative. And everything from virtual exercise and dance classes, or like we're holding all our dance instruction on video, and that are and things like that. We embraced all of those, but we have our regular, like a website, we have a mailing list, and we look to expand it and work with partners to send out a lot of email. It was a lot of heavy lifting. So I think if there was a platform that we could have used, we definitely would have used, that could expand our reach to potential donors, potential volunteers, are very important, and to help us. We have a small team, and in fact, they never stopped working, but we had to reduce their compensation during this time. And hopefully, we brought it back up after we started to recover. But yes, we do a lot of heavy lifting in outreach, creating mailers, sending it out to people, following up by text messaging, personal contact with people we know, going to our board members, asking them to reach out to people, looking at partners, going on the radio, the radio that reaches our community, and asking them, for help, and letting them know the events that are going on. But definitely, reaching new sources, or having a convenient place where you can sort of launch a campaign and have people, contribute, from money to volunteers, is, I think, a very welcome development that I think we will definitely look into.
Mm-hmm. And I certainly think, post this global economic disruption that's happened in the last the last year, I think people are certainly exploring more alternative models to financing, and we briefly, I think you asked me before about stake. The concept of staking your tokens is providing almost collateral in these decentralized worlds, and that's kind of a method of bringing almost authenticity, because no one's in control of these decentralized environments. There's no person dictating what happens, or managing it, or moderating. So the concept of putting something on the line as collateral that could be removed if you break the rules that the community set up, is definitely an interesting concept that's coming about.
Yeah, and I think with all of these models, I think, Moses, in terms of the ways, we asked about outreach earlier, in terms of the ways that these nonprofit organizations, small, medium-sized businesses around the world may have to sometimes connect to an American audience. Are there learnings that you have there in terms of their outreach, in terms of how they can internationalize and learn some tips and trades for them as well? I think that would be very useful for some of our audience members.
Yeah, one thing that we've done is figure out the ability to get people in the developed world, do what they do normally, but be able to help people in need that might not be around them. And an example is just to go to a restaurant, or buy from the local restaurant. And so we built a system where you can buy from the local restaurant, but you get cash back that can be then, sent through, let's say, a nonprofit in Sudan, for example. Now, this, the cashback might be something very simple, small, $5, but that is a whole month's worth of food for somebody in Sudan or somewhere. So it's the ability, and like Mark said, it's a bit of figuring out different ways to basically fundraise and at the same time feel good about it, because wouldn't it feel good if you're eating and knowing that somebody else is also eating somewhere? I think that's a great thing. And so by mobilizing it and putting that environment together, we've come to the conclusion that if the developed world, because again, like you said, the world has become smaller. Everything is digital. Everything, right now we are all over the world, and we are talking together. So it's become smaller, and we can all come together to help the people in need without changing our normal behavior. The idea is keep on doing the normal behavior, but as part of that, touch a life, right? Somewhere else around the world, and that brings about different ways of raising funds, more than the typical way.
Mm-hmm. And I think within the context of Mark, what you were talking about in terms of staking and ERC20 tokens, and Moses, the cashback rewards that you've been talking about, like Anu, I'm curious in terms of the learnings that you have on the rewards pay side. How important is it, or can you just stress or talk about the importance of alternative funding mechanisms, that you've seen, such as, credit card cash rewards or frequent flyer air miles as payment services? How important are utilizing those services for small and medium-sized businesses, and even for nonprofit organizations, especially?
Yes. So, I mean, as you know, there's a plethora of credit cards out there, and how do you choose the one that you get, and how do you choose the one that you use? And most of the credit cards, not debit cards essentially, but credit cards, are really driven by rewards. And there are many categories of rewards. And many categories. Basically, what to keep in mind with rewards is how do people earn these rewards, and how do they spend the reward? That's basically how do you earn it, how do you burn it, right? And is that, how generous is the program, and how valuable is the currency that they generate? So one way to do it is to make it fungible. Like, you can have miles, but you can spend those miles anyway. You can spend them not only on airline seats, but other things as well, right? And shopping, and you can earn by buying flowers rather than just flying. So there's a whole science that goes into this. One of the important things that we do with I've seen done, major loyalty programs do, is allow you to donate your miles. Airlines especially expire their miles. Many hotels don't. Many credit cards don't ever expire their points that you earn. But everybody gives you the option of donating your miles or your points at a certain exchange rate to the charity of your choice. And so making that possible, and many people choose to do so. And it might be just a leftover, 1,000 points or 1,000 miles that they don't plan to use. They get the full benefit of doing a charitable donation of those points. And so alternative currency is very important in loyalty to get the type of behavior that you want, and to retain your audience, and to increase the usage of your things. And nonprofits could actually have a frequent donor program where you get additional benefits for regularly donating or contributing to your nonprofit of your choice. Plus, you can see, take $48 billion worth of currency, 18 billion of it goes unused every year, and use that to fund your charity. And a platform that allows you to do that would be very convenient.
Definitely. And I know we've been talking about, so many different kinds of funding instruments and mechanisms, right? Like we've now covered, things like loyalty programs and rewards or cashback mechanisms, or even like all the way down to cryptocurrencies. How do we make this accessible to nonprofit organizations? I mean, in the title itself of this panel, we're talking about the digital divide. And one of the things that we've seen is sometimes it is difficult for nonprofits to make that jump from their traditional way of operating to this new way of operating, in terms of thinking about alternative funding mechanisms, alternative ways of recruiting volunteers, being more active on social media. I'd love to hear the panelists' thoughts on just how nonprofits can immerse themselves within the space and how they can think creatively about bringing this funding for themselves.
So I think there's a necessity. There's no choice if you're in a coronavirus, lockdown, and you're not, you can't reach people through physical mail or that effectively, or call them for events. I think you have to overcome this digital divide and get to your donors and supporters in other ways. So that's a necessity. The other part is, wow, if you get over the digital divide, what has coronavirus lockdowns taught us? You can really expand. You can really reach out to many more people. It can be more of a global effort. You can increase your supporter base. And so I think that that nonprofits have no choice. They should embrace this this facility now and expand their donorship. And they can use a platform like yours or others to do that, and set up a permanent presence that allows people to reach them, and for them to reach a donor base. I think it's a tremendous change, and just like in healthcare, who knew that you would have virtual healthcare, and that you think it's okay to talk to your doctor on video? But that's what happened this whole year. People were talking to their doctors on video for routine visits and for things that didn't require an x-ray or something. And it's the same thing. You have to embrace these digital technologies and change, and for the better, for the betterment. That's my opinion.
Mark, Moses, any thoughts there?
I think in the crypto world, there's still a long way to go in the DeFi realm. But I think you talk about US dollars sitting around doing nothing. I mean, how much cryptocurrency is sitting there doing nothing apart from just potentially going up or down in value? I mean, if they were able to be lent to someone and you're not using it, going back to the staking method again, that's entirely possible. And I think some companies are making headway in that, which is pretty exciting. So I think that's a space that we're going to be watching pretty carefully. In terms of the mines realm, we have various features on the site that let people share their tokens or US dollars as well with their debit cards and credit cards with each other. We have tools that allow people to make money from the content that they have as well. I mean, people, especially now with people not having as much income as they had because they're furloughed or working half the time, they're looking at more ways that they can sustain their livelihoods, and one of those is making digital content that they can share with people. So we have a tool called Minds Plus that we just launched last week, that it's an exclusive content feature in the realms to Patreon and kind of bridge between Patreon and Netflix. And the more popular your content is that people are enjoying, we share the revenue out between all of those content creators.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And Moses?
Yeah, I think nonprofits being able to build a network digitally, and that means network of vendors like the non-profits we work with, being able to build a network of vendors, network of other groups that provide different crowdfunding is important, mainly at this stage, because the normal way has changed. Like Anu said, it's a must. You have to basically switch up your business and think of different models. And that goes into basically being able to accept rewards, being able to accept rewards as a way of payment, or being able to accept even services as a way of payment. I think nonprofits have to be creative, from that angle, and also tapping into the whole world in itself. Again, the whole coronavirus has brought about, digital transformation. Like these groups, everybody has to digitally transform. But that's a bad thing in a certain way, because we're losing the touch of and being able to meet and all that. But it's also a good thing in the sense of that it accelerated things like mobile payments. Now, mobile payments have been there for a while, but now mobile payments are being used more than anything. I mean, in Kenya just alone, 80% of their GDP is on mobile payment. They don't have cash. Cash does not exist. And that has been accelerated. So nonprofits being able to tap into that whole world of mobile payments, being able to connect with people that are far away, that are in developed worlds, or just not around the area, and being able to collaborate with those people is huge. It has opened up a bigger market, because before, until Corona hit, most people used to think the neighborhood around their network was around where they are, the city or state or country. But now you have to tap into other different groups, other countries, other continents, and create a network of people, vendors, network of other nonprofits, and collaborate, and being able to accept different type of currencies, whether it's crypto, loyalty, rewards, is important at this stage.
Yes, and I definitely agree on just again, just having to be more creative, and then also having to just think in the global perspective on the outreach side. One, I guess, final question to the entire audience is, how on the TALGiving platform, we try to be a giving platform that fosters kindness and caring about each other. And I think in this last year, we've seen social media sites come under flack for, just kind of some of the behavior on their platform, etc. Or just how do we help build a kinder landscape, such that, people that are doing good within the nonprofit sector, people who are creating great content, etc. How do we make it such that their voices are heard in this landscape, and that we can, again, create like a better cultural atmosphere within the social media landscape?
Just maybe I could take the
definitely
point there, because where we are as a social media site, so we kind of have first-hand experience. I mean, as I said at the start, one of our core principles is that we believe everyone has the right to be heard, and that's the best way to change someone's mind. So providing a platform and an open forum that allows people to just have their voice heard and be listened to, I think is a really key thing. And yeah, I think that's pretty important, in terms of how we're going about it.
Definitely.
And just add to that is that when you allow that freedom, and let people talk, I think you also do have to have a set of rules that are clearly stated in terms of the expression and what you consider hatred or insightful or untrue.
Exactly, and I think that's why we're different to quite a lot of the more mainstream, if you like, social networks. Is that we have a community jury that decides whether someone is adhering to our content policy that we set out in plain speak that people can understand, rather than hundreds and thousands of lines of terms.
It seems like it's, again, boiling it down to those consistent standards that are enforced, again, by your community, right? A jury of your peers.
And this is the thing. I mean, social media platforms aren't different to the way that societies have been working for centuries. And the US and the UK have the concept of a jury deciding whether you are abiding by the rules, and the rules in those society is what the law is. So the content policy on a social network, we have a jury made up of other people from the site that is able to decide whether they did uphold those rules, and we feel that makes people feel more comfortable as well in using the network.
And I feel that the laws or the rules need to be consistently applied. And so you can't say this kind of, this kind of sort of maybe progressive thought is okay, but a conservative thought is not. You can't equally apply it and have very clear rules as far as, truth and hate speech and all that stuff. And not only have the rules, but enforce them. So I think that's key.
But on the empowerment side, again, how do we help, again, foster that thought process amongst individuals to start thinking about, because there is one angle to it, which I agree is the how do you prevent bad things from happening. But again, on the more positive note, today is World Kindness Day. How do we get people to start thinking about the kindness aspect of things? And I'll pitch that one to Moses. How do we create the ideal social media message to just get people excited about kindness, to feel good about giving, etc.?
I think it comes down to one word: recognition. When you implement recognition mechanism, anybody, when they do something good and they get recognized, it makes them feel good. It's they're doing something good for somebody, but now they feel good because they got recognized. And recognition can go anywhere from just a thank you or rewards, and those kind of things. But I think if there's a mechanism of putting recognition to people, and that's the basis of social media in itself anyways. People post certain content to get likes, which is a type of recognition. So if there's a way to build or to put an environment where if you help somebody, whether that is help them, either donating or just help them by, talking, discussion, giving them some pointers or anything like that, and then get recognized for that. It goes a long way, even if the person that only saw that recognition is the person that received on the other end. So I think recognition is a huge trait that can be embedded into social media, that in a more positive way, it'll bring about people doing more good in the world.
Definitely. And I think on that note, one final question to everyone. I know I said final question in the last one, but truly a final question. Can you just share a story about a time you're thankful, or just something that you're thankful for currently? I know I want everyone to feel the love of World Kindness Day, and we're really excited to be sharing some of these nonprofit platforms to get everyone excited about the gift of giving. And it's really important for us to kind of look back at our lives as well and just talk about the things that we're thankful for. And I can tell you right now that I've just been thankful for how safe my local community has been in terms of the coronavirus, and how how much I feel the people in my life has come together in terms of reaching out to me on Zoom and on other platforms as well, for us to just catch up and play a board game together.
I'm very thankful when I see my children every day, and how as young 15-year-old, I have twins, a boy and a girl, and they are used to being outside and with friends and in school, and how they've adapted. And they're such good children, and they just basically go online and they're doing very well in their grades, and they took up a lot of exercise sort of activities, and so they're biking 10 miles a day and keeping fit. And I'm like, wow, I did something right in raising them, and I'm so thankful I have these kids, like no drama, and just adjusting to this life, which can be very tough.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just thankful to be able to be having this conversation today. I mean, we're all thousands and thousands of miles apart from each other, and yet somehow, even during the lockdowns, current pandemic, we're still able to communicate and even see each other, and that's just really awesome.
Yeah, I'm thankful for everybody that believes and thinks we're in this together. I'm thankful for those people because there are people out there that don't have it the way we have it. It's very tough. It's very hard for them, and just the fact that people can think of those people not knowing who they are, whether it's helping them, it will just even sending a note or anything like that. I'm thankful for those people, and I think it's one thing that Corona has done. It has brought us together everywhere around the world, and it has made us humble. That's a positive, and I hope that it continues.
And on behalf of the TAL family, we are thankful for you, the audience, who are here, learning about some very interesting stuff within the space of crowdfunding and crowdsourcing. We are thankful to our TAL charter members, our TAL scouts, our TAL ambassadors, and I'm thankful for the TAL team as well. I forgot to mention that, but I think all of this wouldn't have been possible without the amazing team that we have at the Touch of Life Foundation, and we're really excited that everyone could come together for World Kindness Day. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.